Good afternoon, everybody. Let's go and dive into some stuff from today. Pretty good day today. Choppy, though. A little bit choppier. It is Friday. Wasn't really expecting a whole lot today after how the week had gone. It was a little bit of a choppier, sort of slower week. Well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was really good, but yesterday was kind of choppy. So not too surprised, but I still want to run through some stuff. How I traded LIDR today, what I didn't like about LIDR today, whole 9 yards. I want to dive into it here and give you the whole sort of rundown. But overall, pretty good day, not too shabby, and really, I think we ended the week on a pretty good note. So I want to start by looking at some of the plays from today. I'll save LIDR for last. LIDR was super choppy today until the afternoon whenever it finally put in place a bit of a range. Nonetheless, when I get started here on AGH, and this one here was pretty good today. I was watching it for this 5-day breakout today from, what was this, on Tuesday? Whenever this was. Yesterday. So break up through that high from yesterday for that move back higher. And again, nasty grab of liquidity over those highs. You can see back here, this thing halts up. And I play it pretty well. We take the nice dip and rip. Let me get my pin tool here so I can draw for you. I take the dip and rip out of the halt and I capture a pretty nice move. Again, we're risking the halt price here for that curl back higher after finding buyers coming off those dips. So able to get a pretty nice move here from 250 to the 260. So I was able to get a quick 10 cents out of this. Not too bad. But again, follow through lacked. And per my system, as this 1 minute candle then breaks instantly back below this past high, again, my signal to stay away from this going forward. So that was it from there. Really a small win here, but nonetheless, a great play. Moving on to SOWG, this was my top watch today from last night's watch list, and it looked fantastic last night, but it gapped up early this morning, kind of defeating the whole purpose of the play here. But the whole idea of this play was to watch for the break of this flag going into the morning today. You can see right here. But this thing pops almost instantly, and this has been the big issue with pre-market lately, is these things have been making their move almost on the first candle, and then from there it's like you're stuck trying to grab the scraps. And that's been an issue with every real gapper this week. It's been an issue with every gapper this week. And so looking back here at market open, we see price break out, of course, VWAP here. And so I take the pullback, risking off of VWAP. Price grabs me out and I get stopped out. Then price makes a move higher, flushes back down the VWAP. I take the nice pullback entry for the leg back higher, and I get a nice move back to the upside here for a nice little win. But then what do we have formed here off these highs? Well, we have this big area of selling pressure here off these highs, and so again, we have an idea of where our range is overhead. Back up into this area of liquidity, supply overhead, and so I know from the pullback entry that they got at 184, we had room back up into the 195 to 2 area, and so again, I'm playing it up underneath 2. What do we have happen again here? Another area formed of sellers, and so we've identified this as now being an area of supply overhead, where again, likely to find sellers here later in the morning as well. Again, stopping me from really playing this the way I wanted to this afternoon too. Now, played it through here as well, again off this area of support, trying to look for that curl back higher, and got a super small win here because again, what happened? Price tries to curl here on this candle and rejects off this previous high. So again, understanding that we do have overhead supply here underneath 2, I went ahead and again, I cut this for a small win. So again, nothing really here either, just a disgusting setup overhead. Again, we have to also identify we have pre-market highs sitting up here as well, right off of 212. So I couldn't really play this till we got over 212, and this thing rejected heavily off 212 this morning. So again, had to leave that be. So at this point, I've got small profit on this. I've got small profit on AGH. Move on along to HTOO. Pretty much same story here. Watch this. Very similar to AGH. This thing halts up, and again, I'm playing dips out of the halt. And actually, I was able to trade it really well. Pretty much the exact same way as AGH. So price halts up, breaks up through VWAP here, and pulls back. Now, what happens here on the pullback beneath VWAP is it grabs liquidity underneath VWAP and confirms a buyer. So, again, we can see here price pulls back aggressively, gets bought back up, again, confirming a buyer off of VWAP. And so I say, look for pullbacks over VWAP here, looking to risk off of VWAP with this curl back higher. Now, what did we not get? We didn't get any follow through, but I did get a pretty awesome trade here off the pullbacks. So grab the pullbacks, looking for that move back higher, got some profit taken up into these highs, and then what happens? Well, we form a bit of a high here where price rejects pretty aggressively off this level. And so now we know there are sellers sitting through here. So we're watching for a break at that level. If it rejects, I'm going to be out full for a double top high. And so again, price makes a move back to retest this previous high. And guess what? See a clear test of that range again, grab liquidity. And from there, as soon as it rejects, I sell the rest at my break-even price. Because if it rejects, I don't want to be in this anymore, right? It's done. So again, right call there. Let's get into the good stuff, though. We had LIDR today. Now, at this point, of course, I've got small green on all of these trades. You can see I'm trading them pretty well. But follow through is severely lacking. Now, LIDR made a pretty big move today. And I played it fairly well. I was pretty happy with it, but there was one thing that stood out to me today on this that I just did not like. And so all back through here from yesterday's action, we have this massive area of supply overhead, which just puts me off from this setup pretty much all morning today. So these massive wicks off the highs here, followed by this reversal to the downside, again becomes an area of liquidity, this area of supply overhead, which means as price moves up into this range, it's going to be extremely choppy and find a lot of, as you can expect, selling pressure. And so I knew all morning today this was a massive area of supply here formed from forward about 470. And so the whole time this morning that I'm watching this, I don't mind playing it down here because look at this. I'll show you the full setup here. From high to high, we have a bit of a breakout we can play here. But my concern was, again, as we get back into this area of supply overhead, price is going to begin to chop around. And it does begin to chop around today. And it made a move, but the big thing that I always say is it's not so much how much it moved, it's about how it actually got there to begin with. And so you got to ask yourself, was it predictable? Was it readable? Could I have actually traded this? And there were some spots that you could have, and there were areas of liquidity that I could have used this confluence here maybe a little bit better than I did. But I was a bit risk averse today. Now, looking back at the chart, we know exactly how this thing traded yesterday. It was super choppy all day yesterday, so a little bit risk averse. And so I'm watching this through here, and again, we have liquidity formed out of the open as well, where price breaks up out of the bell, massive wick off the highs here twice, again, to confirm this range. And so again, we have liquidity formed off these highs as well. So all through here, I'm watching this for confirmation off these pullbacks, because what happens is price breaks out of this area of formed supply through here. Again, this becomes an area of supply. I'm watching price break above to confirm out of this area of supply. And then I'm taking pullbacks. You can see here, I'm taking pullbacks on this confirmed break of this previous high. Got a nice little win here off the pullback, just sort of playing it up in this tightening channel. Price pulls back off of VWAP, and I'm a bit of a sissy here. Why am I a sissy here? Well, volume was pretty much non-existent at this point. And I'm trying to play this off the pullbacks, and if you were on the stream this morning, you know that I was watching this for the dips here over 350, over 360, and I just couldn't find any bit of support off the bid. And so I'm like, we're going to get a knife down underneath VWAP, or are we going to get a halt, not a halt down, but just some nasty slippage underneath VWAP. It just didn't provide that conviction that I really needed. And so I left it away there. I didn't touch it. And then all through here, I also didn't play it because why? Well, we had the high of day sitting here. So again, a bit risk averse. Could I have taken it here off the pullback? Maybe. Big maybe, but underneath this previous high, knowing that we had all this liquidity overhead from 4 to 470 that we noted earlier, just didn't seem like the right idea. And so this area of then formed liquidity overhead made me struggle with positioning myself in this all morning because I just couldn't bring myself to have the conviction here that I needed. I played it all down through here, win, a little bit of chop break even through here, but then I have another win up through these highs, and we'll talk about this here in a second. How we use liquidity to identify a low-risk entry opportunity up here off the highs. But again, all through here, I just lacked conviction because of all of this crap overhead. And it's one of those things I wish we had a better move today. I traded it really well. I traded it precisely. But we watched the knife happen on AGH. We watched the knife happen on HTOO. We watched the knives happen on SOWG. And so by then, I'm just like, look, I just don't love how things are moving today. And so again, I'm super risk averse. Just wasn't really a massive fan. So what we had happen here, again, we have at least a clear idea of where that liquidity sits in the market based on the larger time frame. We had that 15-minute liquidity from 470 to 5, or from 4 to 470. And so understanding that, we know that price is going to be choppy. And all through here, we can see exactly what I'm talking about. All of this chop through here, price action was absolutely horrendous. And really, I'm going to go ahead and say it straight up. The only way to actually capture the big picture move on a stock like this and not take the little base hits is through simply just gambling. I'm going to be real with you here. The only way is through gambling. Because look at the way price is moving. Look at the way price, it's not predictable. Yes, these liquidity grabs off the high. How do you sit through this chop? So it's really tough. And so I'm taking these super, almost sniper-like entries on this thing today because this here. Take a look at where this liquidity sits. And so we have this previous high of day sitting right here. Price breaks over the high of day and grabs liquidity right here. And so we know that there's liquidity sitting right there in the market. And so I know, based on that, I can use that as an area for my entry, right? I can use it for entry confluence. And so we have the previous high of day sitting here. We have liquidity to confirm. And so what do? I wait for price to break above and confirm, because right now this becomes an area of supply overhead, right? All this through here becomes an area of then supply. So I want to first see price break above and pivot. So this supply then becomes, right, an area of then demand. Chart's moving, so it's sort of skewing my chart here. But We want to see price confirm above because, again, that becomes an area of informed demand. So once price breaks above, I look for a pullback, and I nail this perfect pullback entry here, as you can see right smack dab here at $4.06. So $4.06 entry at the pullback, back in this area of previously formed liquidity, using the previous high of day as confluence. I got a nice little move here from about 406, about 427. So not too bad. But that's really the big thing for me right now in this market is the way things are trading. It just really hurts your conviction on it, pretty much everything else, because you look at HEH, for example, and look at this. And while I'm green on it, look at the short-lived move. And then we look at HTOO. And again, while I'm green on it, look at the short-lived move. Same story with SOWG. While I'm green on it, look at the short-lived move. And so it becomes very difficult to really sit here and look for big picture setups. This is not a big picture market right now. And again, it's about how it gets there, not about how much it's at. And so it's really difficult. I just haven't found myself really wanting to risk a whole lot in the way things have been trading. And while it is consistent still, right, we're finding the opportunities, they just aren't these massive opportunities that we've been used to for the last few months. We've got to be aware of how price action is out there right now. It has not been the most forgiving, the most fruitful, but the opportunity definitely still is there, at least to some degree. As you can see this morning, we had a pretty good day today. As a whole, this week was not too shabby either, but again, just very risk averse. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I got some nice built up. Those were my best days of the week, really. You figure on Wednesday, I had a 10R day, so a pretty massive day then from PLRZ. Tuesday had a massive day because of, again, PLRZ. Monday did very well with SABS. Did a whole lesson on SABS. You can actually go watch my recap on here from the other day as well. But yesterday and today, just extremely choppy. Not a massive fan of price action, but all in all, still super happy with how I traded nonetheless. Still have swings cooking on TEM and a few others as well. But all that said, that's the morning recap. Kind of a choppier Friday to end the week, but still a nice green day nonetheless. Traded really well, all things considered. Looking forward to hopefully building up that mental confidence and mental cushion going into next week, that we can get more aggressive and hopefully start to take advantage of some of these movers out there. But I just didn't like LIDR today. Maybe you did, but it just didn't fit my playbook. So I stayed out of it, traded the way that I did, and made some money, but that'll pretty much do it. So hopefully learn a thing or two in this video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for daily videos just like this. And as always, make sure to claim your 7-day free trial to watch me trade stocks just like this in real time every single day and get education, alerts, chat room access, watch list, and so much more. Let me know in the comments below how you traded today, and I will see y'all there.